Welcome to Old Man Sports Talk, and today we're going to discuss the state of women's college basketball. Today is the Women's College Basketball National Championship between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the LSU Tigers. It should be a great game. I am looking forward to it. It's going to tip off here in about 2 hours, and I just cannot wait. It's going to have two of the best women's basketball players in the country in Caitlin Clark from Iowa and Angel Reese from LSU. It should be a really, really good game. So, what is the state of women's college basketball? Well, let me just start off by saying, for as long as I can remember, the women's college basketball game has not been very entertaining. Just to say that, for years, really, it was one team that dominated the game. For a long time under Pat Summitt, Tennessee won dominated the game. They won national championship after national championship, got all the best players to come to Tennessee. That doesn't mean there wasn't other good players and there wasn't other good teams, but they just really weren't on the same level. The players, some of the players were, for instance, Dawn Staley. I believe she played for Virginia. She didn't go to Tennessee, and she was a heck of a basketball player. Went on to play in the WNBA for the Olympic teams, and of course, is now the head coach of South Carolina. So she had a great career with the women's game. And there's been other players too that have gone on to other teams and played, but they didn't win national championships, right? So um, Don Staley did play in the Final Four for Virginia, but they didn't win it. Um, then Pat Summitt, she got cancer, and Tennessee teams started to decline, and another team took over, and that was UConn. So UConn for years dominated the women's game. I should have looked it up. I don't know how many national championships they won, but it was a lot of national championships. Just like Tennessee won a lot of national championships, and really UConn dominated the game. Again, I'm not saying there wasn't other good teams, but they were not on the same level. Women's college basketball for years, the scores, even in the national championship games, would be lopsided. You have a 30 point blowout in a national championship game. And people don't want to see that. When you're watching a national championship game, unless it's your team, unless your team winning, the other 99% of the country don't want to see a blowout. They want to see a close competitive game. And so for years, the women's game has been down, and it's, I won't say out because obviously it wasn't out, but it has been very down, and it hasn't been competitive compared to men's sports or men's basketball. We'll just say that because we're talking about basketball. But this year is a little different. This year is probably, and I meant to look this up. I didn't get a chance to look it up, but this year is probably the first year in women's basketball that the semifinals were, both games were competitive, and I expect the national championship game day to be competitive. Usually, like I said a while ago, usually there's a blowout. All right, there's a 30 point game, there's a 20 point game, and the first semifinal between LSU and I don't know why I can't think of who they played now. Um, anyways, uh, it was an 8 point win, I believe it was, right, and then the nightcap on Friday night between South Carolina and Iowa was a heck of a game, and Iowa won by 4 points. That was one of the best women's games I've ever seen in my life, and I'm anticipating again today to be another one right up there with it. So the state of women's college basketball to me is at the best it's ever been right now, and I only see it getting better. And Why do I see it getting better? Well, the one thing I do love about women's college basketball is, and if you're a basketball fan in general, you have to love and you have to respect the fact that women have are more fundamentally sound than men are. It's 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 that simple, right? Men, they get out there and they try to be more athletic, run up and down the court, fly and jump all over the place. See if I can out rebound you, jump over you, that sort of thing, dunk on you. Whereas women are going to do a lot more screens, do a lot more movement, do a lot more pick and rolls, um, do a lot more pick and pops. I'm not saying that men don't do that. They do that, but it's not to the extent that women do. Okay. And this Caitlin Clark, I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't think Caitlin Clark's any good, especially if you're a man and you don't think Caitlin Clark's any good, one, you don't know about basketball. And two, I can promise you she's going to take you on the court. She's that freaking good. She got ball handles. She can shoot. She got deep shot range. The only downside, there's two downsides that I'm going to say to her game. Number one, she turns the ball over too much. She scored 41 points the other night, 8 rebounds, or not, might have been, yeah, I think it was 8 rebounds, 8 assists, or maybe 9 rebounds, 8 assists. But she also had 7 turnovers, right? That's too many turnovers, especially when the ball's in your hands probably 80% of the time. So they got her listed as a guard. I would say she's probably more or less their point guard, especially when it's crunch time where they need a basket. They're getting the ball in her hands. So um, I think that she does turn the ball over too much. Um, that's the downside. Another thing is, I think she probably forces too many shots. Like she shot 17 threes the other night, only made 5 of them. Now that's about 32%, which um, in the NBA, if you're shooting 33%, you're considered a good 3 point shooter. So she's in the category of being a good 3 point shooter. But 17 threes in a game, that's probably too much. And a lot of those were deep shots. You're not, I mean, you might be a little open, but, and I'm not saying you can't make them, but you don't need to shoot 4 or 5, 6 deep threes a game, maybe one or two, right? So, but other than that, I mean, she's really fast. She's super quick. She makes great moves. She had a post player. They got Caitlin listed as 6 foot. She looks short, smaller than that to me. But she had a South Carolina center the other night. I don't know how tall she listed, but she looked like she's at least 6'6", 6'7". And they had a 1-on-1, and the center was staying with her, but she did a little pump fake up and under step through move, and easy bucket, easy bucket. So if you're 1-on-1 with her, you can't stop her. Even a guard, she's too quick for guards. So um, it's going to be interesting to see what LSU does with her today. I don't. I mean, they're not going to stop her. She's going to get her points. I don't know what the over under is. If you're a betting person, I don't know what the over under is, but she's going to get 30. If you hold Caitlin, if LSU holds Caitlin under 30 points, LSU wins the game today. All right. Just to put up there how many points, what the point differential was the other night. So Caitlin Clark scored 41 points. The rest of Iowa combined for a total of 36 points. She outscored the rest of her team by herself. So um, some coaches might say, "Well, let her do her thing. We're going to shut everybody else down," and that may have worked. I mean, they only won by 4 points, but if it's me, I'm shutting Caitlin down. Let everybody else. I mean, that's one person you got to worry about. Let everybody else let's step up, or somebody else step up and have a great game. I didn't get a chance to watch the LSU game the other night.